strategy.
Episode 595 is live on the 21st of November 2022. Now, something very interesting happened the other day as the India New Zealand ODI and T20 Cup goes on. It wasn't something new in terms of what has been happening over the past 12 months, but it was without the obvious personnel, the usual suspects, and therefore, this is the question I would like to ask all the individuals listening. When I saw Ishan Kishan and Pant open the other evening, the question was it an antidote to the pell-mell around the openers, knowing that the regular openers have fallen out of favor, whereas pseudo experts are concerned, so called fanatics are concerned, PPED media is concerned, or general the relationship between these individuals and the team management and the cricket board. So when they decided to open with these two, it could be an antidote or maybe it won't work. It didn't exactly work in the way we wanted it to work. We have been looking for new attitude, a ruthless aggression that had been missing during the World Cup, that was there during the pre-World Cup time, that is during the bilateral series. But then that's the beauty of bilateral series. It's not a World Cup. You're not in danger of being knocked out from the tournament. You can do whatever you want with the team. You can play whomever you want. Those who miss out can play in the next series, because in the World Cup, if somebody misses out, it almost becomes a controversy, as it was in the case of Chahal. But here the team seemed much better in terms of personnel, though you had two keepers opening, but you had the class of 2016 opening, and that's how things are, and that's the way things will be. What will happen in the third one doesn't know. Rain is always around the corner. Rain also threatened to put an end to this game, but somehow, despite the half an hour rain break, the match went on as smoothly as possible, and the decision to bowl first by New Zealand backfired. They could have easily chased down the target of 190, but somehow now their openers are under question. Now they have too many conservative individuals in the top three. Conway, Williamson. Now we are questioning these individuals' presence because they're not scoring at a strike rate of 140, 150. Devon Conway was the antidote to the strike rate of 140, 150. Kane Williamson says he's far removed from not playing the sport, whether it's 20, 50, 5 day or whatever. He will be under pressure, but that's the fact that New Zealand has rugby as its national game. The world of New Zealand is more crazy about rugby than any other sport. So whether New Zealand does good or bad in cricket, it has no impact on individuals. Yes, they come and watch a good game, but then if you saw the spectators who were there, they were basically so-called Indians living in that part of the world. It's not as if local people were there. And then India has toured New Zealand multiple times over the past 2 years, but there was something different about this one because it's after a World Cup. There's a new broadcaster, and something just seemed a little different because the usual individuals are not there. They want to look at fresh individuals who have played before, but they want to give them a longer rope. The likes of Iyer, Pant, Kishan, Deepak Hooda, and then Hardik Pandya comes up with a bombshell. I want batters to bowl. And then what do the pseudo experts discuss? Oh, look at the good times when Sehwag and Ganguly and Yuvraj and all these individuals, Sehwag could bowl. I've seen that. That means India went with two fast bowlers, two spinners, and nearly four semi bowlers. It doesn't work always. And then we are regretting that the likes of Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer, Prithvi Shaw, Rohit Sharma no longer bowl. But we had Ganguly and Tendulkar and Sehwag and Yuvraj. But Yuvraj was a proper all-rounder. They would bowl, they would give the captain the additional cushion so that if the main bowlers were going for runs, which has always been the case, these bowlers would shield them and cushion them for at least a better part of 15-20 overs and then allow those bowlers to do the job in the last 15 overs, whether it's 50 overs or 5 days. But then that's the thing. Why aren't regular batters bowling? Well, it's a very rare thing that happens. They bowl, but now we have proper bowlers. Maybe we don't need all of these batters to bowl all the time. Raina was a proper all-rounder. Yuvraj was a proper all-rounder. Ganguly managed his wares somehow. Tendulkar would do the job. He was more than happy. But then you look at the schedule 20 years ago, you look at the schedule right now, it's an unforgiving schedule. There's hardly break between matches, maybe a 2 day break, out of which a day is spent traveling, another day is spent onto the ground doing their usual fabrication and farce of net practice. It's so squeezed that there is no time to think. So there's no point regretting that. We have been waiting for such a thing for so many years. But then, let's say we push the likes of Shubman Gill and Prithvi Shaw and Shreyas Iyer to bowl. And they are more than happy to bowl. If they do it, what will happen? Maybe we'll allow an extra batter, like it happened when Ganguly and Co could bowl. We allowed an extra batter and we went with just four bowlers. But it doesn't work every time. I would rather have five proper bowlers and then maybe add these two or three individuals. And we do have a couple of good all-rounders. There's Deepak Hooda, there's Washington Sundar. You can add Shardul Thakur to the mix. So regretting the fact that now batters don't bowl in the manner they should and the whole modern day nonsense that comes with it, I do not agree with it. But we'll talk on that later because there is no end to the debate on this. So as the match went, India somehow managed to score 191. The focus would have been on Pant and Kishan, though they did not do much. They did not heed to that ruthless aggression attitude era that was required, but they perhaps was shielded by the fact that once again the same individual stole the limelight again. Who was it? Take a guess. I am not going to name that person. Take a guess. He did what he was supposed to do. He did his job. And then, of course, then controversy started coming up. He's coming at number 3, which means the regular number 3's position is in jeopardy. Maybe if you come up with such ridiculous controversies, then be ready to listen to ridiculous answers also. This is not the first time the regular number 3 is not playing the tournament and this guy is at number 3 or somebody else at number 3. This has happened millions of times before and this will continue to happen. And of course, the age factor, the other factors come into play. Then what will be the preparation 2 years down the line? How will the teams get ready for the 50-over World Cup and then the 20-over World Cup? Every team has its own way of preparation. And that's the way things work. Somehow he stole the limelight and therefore the Pant-Kishan antidote was slightly put on the back burner because of this and they were saved. Had he not scored those runs, had India only scored 140 something, then Pant-Kishan's slow batting approach, conservative approach, and questioning the coach why these two were opening when there are better batters sitting in the dugout and waiting outside who have not been selected, but they were saved by once again that individual. So, what happens? Well, this is the private series. Results in this just go into the account of the captain winning more and more. And we all know in 2 years anything is possible. It's not really that all of these batters will be there, all of these individuals will be there on that day when the 2024 World Cup begins. You still have the out of favor individuals ready to come in. Those who have been given a break from this tournament, we can debate on that also. But if this tournament was scheduled before the World Cup, the players have to accept that. Whether they are fatigued, then go and complain to your employer that why only 4 days after that we were thrusted into New Zealand. Then that's the same for everyone. England is playing Australia in the ODI Cup. They're also saying that 3 days after the finals we were forced to play this particular tournament. Has it any relevancy? Well, everything is relevant and everything is irrelevant at the same time. But then the England players knew that this England Australia series will be done because this was already decided even before the World Cup came into the picture. The World Cup schedule came. Despite that, the governing bodies decided to schedule the series. Same for India and New Zealand, same for any other country. So there is no use complaining. They could have said, "Yeah, we are opting out, then opt out." But if you have decided to stay, then respect the schedule. While we can debate over whether those two opening was the right move, the antidote, what we have here is that we are 5 episodes away from a milestone episode. And there will be a special message on the day the 600th episode comes. Maybe some announcement will be made where a few individuals will be taken aback. A few will say we really don't care. But 5 episodes remain for the milestone 600 episode. And then when you do all the effort to reach here, you deserve something special. But what will be the special thing that will be deserved? Well, we'll know as time goes by. And why is it a special episode? Because every episode of this nature is special. Who knew when this talk show began on the 26th of June 2018 that one day we will be reaching the 600th episode, soon the 650th episode, going on to 700, 750, 800, 850, 900, 950, 1000 episodes. That's going to be the most important part. And that's one thing we should not forget. And then 5 is a very good number. Are you ready to celebrate in just a couple of weeks' time? Just a couple of Fridays more, and we will be celebrating the 500th episode. Do not forget to tune in on the 2nd of December 2022 to enjoy an exciting episode. Because every time we celebrate, we enjoy. There would be no guest this time, but we'll enjoy, we'll talk, we'll have fun, we'll party because you always have to party when you reach milestone. I have seen organizations party on lesser achievements, but then they are mere mortals. This show has reached an immortality which no other can ever reach. And when you light it up, you will see that it is something of a remarkable achievement. 5 episodes remain. Remember that. But more on something different. The Football World Cup has started. There have been controversies galore about certain things which has taken away the limelight from the actual tournament and other issues. A lot of players will be missing the tournament due to injuries, but then that was bound to happen as they came from the domestic tournament. So, will the players be fatigued after a long domestic tournament? Yes. It's been called a Winter World Cup because of the fact that it's happening in the month of November and December, something which is a rarity because the World Cup usually happen in April, May, June. But then you can't complain on this. Here also the schedule was decided. Everybody who was going to participate knew that this is the time when the World Cup would happen. Let's not focus on minor things like Winter World Cup or World Cup happening at the wrong time or injuries to players because no sports athlete is 100% fit. And they knew that this will happen. They could have opted out of that tournament, but they can't because they are paid in millions. They can't opt out of this tournament because there is a chance to earn the World Cup for your country. So between domestic club and the national pseudo-nationalism that comes along with it, most of these players will be caught between a rock and a hard place. Because most of these players are known by these domestic teams they play for. The World Cup happens every 4 years, but these tournaments, the Champions League and etc., happen every year. The Euro Cup happens every 4 years, and therefore there is excitement about the World Cup and the Euro Cup. Of course, the timing and the background and all those things do make a difference to individuals, but then you have to go along with it. If you don't want to be a part of it, just tell your team manager, I can't. So many individuals have already been ruled out due to injuries. Will that make a difference in the final verdict of how teams perform? But it always does. That's how the sport is played. It has always been that case. So, how will this World Cup go? You will see controversies, you will see referee decisions which will be contested apart from VAR, and the focus will be on Ronaldo and Messi, two of the most untalented athletes in the game of football who are looking to win the World Cup for their country, having done enough in the domestic level, but they have not won one for their country, despite having played over 15 years. And this comes once in 4 years. So that's going to be a very interesting thing. The loyalty for the domestic team versus the nationalism is going to be put at test for most of these players, because once this ends, that starts, there is no time to rest. They have to quickly rush and start playing there. So expect injuries, long layoffs for the players, but then they have to accept this. Episode 596 will be live on the 23rd of November 2020